Welcome back to the Malt Miller YouTube channel, Homebrewers. And today, hot off the heels of our last Brew With Us collaboration where we worked with Good Chemistry, we've got something special for you today, another collaboration, and this time with a brewery that is renowned for making all things West Coast to an incredibly high standard. Joe, where are we?
We are here to meet Sophie Durand and the team at Burnt Mill Brewery.
We're here with Charles and Sophie from Burnt Mill Brewery. First off, thank you so much for inviting us down today to join you and learn about your brewery and understanding the recipe that you shared with us.
You're very welcome.
What would be really good is for anybody that's watching this and that maybe hasn't heard of Burnt Mill, I mean, first of all, why haven't you? But Charles, would you be able to just maybe explain a little bit about your inspiration for setting the brewery up?
I mean, like a lot of people, I got into home brewing sort of after realising that I really like hoppy beers. One of my American friends kind of told me that it was quite common in the States for people to home brew, and I hadn't really seen anything home brewing apart from the kind of kits people used to get at Boots.
It's a common theme.
It's a common theme. It really is.
And then once I got into it, sort of started like trawling YouTube, going through the videos, and then sort of got more and more into it, added more and more gear, then just kind of decided I was going to take a job in a brewery. So started off bottling on the packaging line. So doing that a couple of days a week, then started teaching home brewers. And as part of a kind of homebrew club at the same time. So I was doing that. So I was still working full time, and then I started teaching Saturday, Sunday. So it was kind of all consuming for a while. And then I decided, well, I really like being in the brewery, so I'm just gonna quit and do that.
Nice.
Did that, and kind of like the whole, as we wanted to do it. I was always thinking, the end was to open something up. In, I think, 2016, this place came up. I just kind of thought, well, we'll be buying the grain from, people off the road. At the time, we had, CO2 suppliers on site. We got electrical engineers, pump manufacturers here, loads of coffee, obviously.
Always helps.
So I was like, well, why don't we just do it here instead of London? So and then you set about planning everything, getting the space ready, and as I was doing all that, I popped over to Muntons to have a tour, chat with them, and then ended up having a chat with Sophie while I was there. I was always on the lookout for a head brewer, so because I knew obviously from looking at the people who started up that I kind of, in a way, what the kind of quality level I wanted to go in at. We were also looking at Thornbridge, Magic Rock, and I wanted to I didn't want to go through a patchy stage of beers at the start. Probably everyone has kind of trials when they get going. As we've got this, stuff goes wrong all the time.
Absolutely.
Then Soph kind of mentioned she'd be interested, and
perfect combination.
Kind of turns out it was. So I was like, oh, right, great. So let's do it. Soph seems absolutely solid, and then we kind of got to know each other. So over the next year, up until it was kind of ready, I guess.
Sophie, can you just give us a little bit of an insight into your background, how you got into brewing, and kind of your progress through to where you are now?
Yeah. So I've been brewing for around about 15 years now. Started off at Brentwood Brewing Company, a little craft brewery down in Essex. From there, I felt like I just needed a new challenge, just to develop myself further. And so I found a job as a brewing technologist at Muntons in their product development section. So I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years. and that's of course where I met Charles.
You guys met, yeah.
And actually, it was there that my health was getting worse and worse, and it got to the point that I just couldn't drink beer or have any sort of form of gluten, barley or wheat or anything
Not
like that.
ideal if you're brewing beer or testing. No,
No, not really.
doesn't help.
So part of me wanted to get back into actual commercial brewing because it's where my passion is. It's
Yeah.
where I really enjoy myself. And so, yeah, when me and Charles got chatting and started to think about this place, it was very much made aware of the fact that I couldn't taste beer or try beer. And so
So how did that work? How did you kind of work through?
it's my chief taster.
Oh right, okay, nice, tough gig, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing.
Our language, own language, didn't we, and understanding.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess we had a clear idea of how we wanted the beers to taste, and so, and yeah, because there was only the two of us, and at the time we weren't selling any beer, so we had a lot of time to
drink it and sample
to
it.
taste it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we quickly were just like, you know, I think it needs a bit of this and that, and yeah, over time, yeah, we just everything sort of with each batch as you would kind of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
Yeah, but having the experience I have had in brewing, it's obviously really helps.
Got that knowledge,
in
haven't you?
knowing that what to add to
Yeah.
then create things, and then just discussing characteristics and flavours, and just trying to think about how to tweak things to work them.
That's
the-
really good.
That was sort of 2016, 17. Is
yeah,
that right?
so first batch brewed in
It's
May
17,
2017, and then so lined up all the first customers for June. So Pinsel was the first batch, first beer that we brewed, and it's really kind of been the only constant the whole way through,
Yeah.
which is kind of what it was intended to be. So Pinsel, it's supposed to be the sort of the linchpin of a mill.
Yeah.
So at the time when I was doing the building work, I had a lot of time on my hands because it was just me in there, putting it together. So just had lots of music on, lots of things, and the sort of beer name started to flow.
It's really interesting what you said there, Charles, about that you didn't want to go through a phase of like finding your feet with the beers that you were brewing, because actually fast forward sort of 12, 18 months into the journey, and suddenly Burnt Mill's receiving lots of accolades, lots of attention, lots of positive praise for the beer that's being produced. Sophie, you won Brewer of the Year, didn't you, from the Guild of Beer Writers, and then the brewery won the Best New Brewery of the Year as well that year. I mean, to do all of that within 12 months is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome.
And whenever we're at trade day, festivals and stuff, you quite often find all the brewers trying to head to wherever you're pouring, right?
Yeah.
I think that's because we always bring West Coast.
It sounds like those sort of formative years, you know, where you had to develop a relationship that was focused around the product and creating a product that both of you needed to collaborate on to really make sure was stacking up against what you wanted it to be in the finished article. That mentality, I think, shines through in everything that you do here from what we've seen so far. That collaborative approach, and you know, your team are all super friendly and been really welcoming for us, and they're switched on and all know what they're doing. So it's an awesome relationship, clearly.
I think we fostered fostered where we want people to say, you know, what they think should be done the whole time, so that we have got these different opinions coming through, and you know, because everyone's got a different experience brewing different beers, and so it's always good to see what someone's take on stuff is.
Well, should we go and have a look inside and take a look around the brew house?
Sure.
Absolutely.
For the people at home that are watching this video, maybe just talk us a little bit through the brew house, how things operate here, kind of what the process is from ingredients in to beer out.
Yeah, sure. So behind us we have a 3,500 litre brew house, a very simple kit. Just have a single infusion mash tun and then a kettle that doubles up as a little whirlpool as well.
Okay,
So yeah, really simple, nice little 2-vessel brew house. with a brew on the go at the moment.
Yeah, it's been
So
lovely.
it's all nice
Joe's
and
got
busy,
involved earlier, doughing in,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, very good. I'm looking forward to digging out the mash tun, you know.
Hey, got to do some work.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about fermenter space? How many tanks have you got here?
So we've got 6 tanks in total.
Yeah.
We have 6 fermenter tanks. We have 3 35 hectolitre tanks and 3 50 hectolitre tanks.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 bright tanks that
Okay.
we can package out of.
Fantastic.
So we do a regular 2 brews and 2 packs every single week.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And it's just generally always one of our core products, and then a special that we brew as well.
Right, okay, nice. It looks really organised, and actually having a look round the brewery over the last little while, everything's laid out in that flow that you've just explained, from the actual brew day round to packaging, right? Talk a little bit about packaging for us. So you've got a canning line as well?
We certainly do, yes. So everything goes into keg and can.
Yep.
We probably do about 60% keg or draft product, and then about 40% can product.
Yep.
We can pack directly out of our bright tanks. We go through a little sock filter to catch any of those pesky hops that might be creeping through, and just go straight into kegs from there. And then we have a see-off that can go straight into our canning line as well.
Fantastic.
And our canning line is a counter pressure filler,
Yep.
which means that we can fill the beer under about 2 bar of pressure,
Yep.
which means that we get less oxygen in there and get a more consistent product in terms of weight and everything else.
Yeah, and you were saying as well that you regularly test for DO in-house,
Yes.
so that you can really make sure that the quality of the product going out is as high as it can possibly be.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit now, because we've obviously been talking about recipes, which we're going to come on to a little bit later, but something that really struck me when we were talking was actually the time you allow your beers to be in tank for,
Yes.
and the fact that you actually allow for hop creep to take place within the tank, rather than, you know, what can happen, which is some people, especially home brewers, don't necessarily
Yeah.
take that into account and don't realise the impact that it can have.
Yeah.
Just if you could talk us through that a little bit.
So every beer has between 24 and 26 days in tank, roughly. 2 weeks of that is sort of what we'd probably call the fermentation period.
Yeah.
So we dry hop the beer with maybe 1 to 2 points before finishing gravity.
Yeah.
Because if we dry hop any sooner, then we get volcanoes erupting in a beer, which isn't fun.
Nobody wants to get covered in that, you know.
No.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't do the beer any good,
Yeah.
so you're going to be losing a lot of your foam retention and everything else like that
Yeah.
in your beer. So we dry hop, and then we'll always see actually a little spike in the gravity after dry hopping, and then allow the hops to do the hop creep. Because
Yeah.
actually adding the hops in is you're activating your yeast again, or livening your yeast up a little bit, and you're
Yeah.
actually adding some enzymes from the hops, which will do a little bit of breakdown of the sugars.
Yeah, and therefore re-fermentation,
Exactly.
which can cause diacetyl, which can cause, you know, lots of stuff if you don't account
Yes.
for it and factor it into your fermentation process. And I think that's something that certainly homebrewers can really take heed of and factor into stuff, because, and I'm guilty of this as well, sometimes you want to get that beer in a keg or packaged as quickly as you can so you can be drinking it at the weekend.
Yeah.
But actually you've got to let the beer do its thing, you know, and
Yeah.
that's where you've got to be led, really.
And we tend to find that hop creep takes anywhere between sort of 3 and 7 days, depending on what hops you put in, how much you put in as well. And we'll just continually check the finishing gravity, and once it's stable, we'll make sure we'll do the VDK test, so the diacetyl test. We'll warm up the beer for half an hour in some boiled water and just smell the flavours that are coming off it.
Yeah.
And if it smells clear of diacetyl, we'll then put the beer onto chill, and stays on chill for a couple of days, and then we transfer it into the bright tanks.
So Sophie, thanks so much for hosting us today. Can we have a little bit of talk about Beyond the Furs, the recipe, what goes into it, the actual process of brewing the beer, and some of the little extras that are added in to make it a little bit special?
Yeah, of course. So Beyond the Furs is our gluten-free pale ale. It's one of our core range, and it's really successful, particularly in the summer months. So it's really nice, crushable,
Yeah.
easy drinking beer. Quite a simple malt bill of extra pale malt, flake oats and dextrin. And then we have a little bit of a range of hops that go into it.
Nice.
So we add a little bit of bitterness at the beginning with some flex,
Right.
which is a liquid bittering hop kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Sort of liquid.
But it adds that bitterness to the end product.
Yeah,
That's why you use
so
it.
we add that into the boil. It just means that we have fewer hops in the kettle, and so we can maximise our output in the kettle.
Yeah,
And actually provides a really nice balanced bitterness, I think, into our beers.
yeah, yeah.
We then whirlpool the furs with Centennial and Citra hops,
Nice.
Type 90 pellets.
Yeah,
And then we dry hop with some Centennial, Simcoe, Idaho 7, and some more Citra again.
oh wow. That's a nice hoppy beer then, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And you use pellets for the dry hopping as well?
Yeah, so mostly the pellets. We do actually add a little bit of the Citra Spectrum.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing product, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it keeps obviously the quantity of the brew at quite a high level, so it doesn't soak up.
Yeah, exactly. It means that we can just get a little bit of extra yield out of
Yeah.
the beer and just get better utilisation from it all.
And it just has got the most amazing flavour that
Yeah.
comes out of it as well,
Yeah.
which is brilliant.
Done tests on various different beers and slowly incrementally added up or increased up to a certain level.
Yeah.
And not really particularly noticed a difference in the beers.
In the end product, that's brilliant. And you use Clarity as well, don't you, to help reduce gluten?
We certainly do. So we use the Clarity, which is an enzyme, and it basically chops down the gluten protein and breaks it down to a point that it's not going to affect the people
The
that
majority
are
of people,
intolerant of
yeah.
gluten or who are celiacs.
Okay, that's fantastic. And doesn't change the flavour at all?
No.
No? So you
No,
wouldn't actually know it was in there? No.
No, especially as we've got the dextrin malts in there, the flake oats in there, adding a little bit of extra body back into
Yeah.
the beer as well.
So that whole combination of how you're doing it just keeps that beer at a gluten-free level, but without any change or compromise on the taste or
Yeah.
the feel of the beer when you're
Yeah.
drinking it. That's
And the
amazing.
Yeah, and the other benefit to it is that it helps with shelf life. So it helps with stability of the
Right.
haze in
Okay.
the beer.
Yeah.
Sophie, Charles, thank you so much for having us here today and letting us stick our nose in everywhere around the brewery. It's
Yeah.
been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, you're very welcome, man.
Yeah, we've had a fantastic day, and we're now going to go back to Mottler HQ and we're going to brew some beer.
Yeah.
See how we get on with the recipe.
And once it's done, we'll give you a shout. We'll either try and organise a meet-up or we'll send you some and we'll see how you find our version of Beyond the Furs. We're really excited to go back and give it a go.
Yeah, no.
Excited to try it.
Very good, very good. Come down and see us at Mottler HQ.
Yeah.
We all did.
Now, the recipe kit for Beyond the Furs is available if you follow the links below. We'd love to hear how you get on brewing this recipe, or if you've tried a clone recipe, or if you're just a fan of all things burnt mill. So please hit us up in the comments below. And make sure that you are subscribed to our channel and you've hit the bell for notifications so that you'll be able to keep up with part 2 of this awesome collaboration. And remember, you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.